Hello students, welcome you all in our civics class. So today we are going to start a new chapter of class 10 civics, chapter 2, that is federalism. So in this chapter we are going to cover the topics like federalism, okay, what is meant by federalism and the key features of federalism, and also we are going to cover the topics like what makes India a federal country. So let's get started. Federalism. What is meant by federalism? Now, federalism, children, it is a system of government in which the power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units of the country. Okay, so here it means that it is a system. Okay, it is a system of government in which the powers are divided between a central authority like central government and various constituent units of the country like state government. Okay, so here we'll see that it is the division of power. Okay, so here the powers are divided between central authority and various other constituent units of the country. So this is clear. Now, a federation has two levels of government. As we know, a federation has two levels of government. Okay, one is the government for the entire country, that is usually responsible for its few subjects of common national interest. Okay, now the others are government at the level of provinces or states that look after much of the day-to-day administering of the state. Okay, so here we'll see that there are two levels of government. Okay, one is the government for the entire country, that is central government, of course, and the government at the level of provinces or state, that is the state government. Okay, so this is clear that we have a government at the entire level, that is for the entire country, that is central government or union government, and we have another government for the provinces or state level, that is known as state government. Clear? Both these levels of government enjoy their power independent of the other. Okay, so nobody is dependent on each other, all are independent. Okay, next. So in this sense, we can say that federations are contrasted with unitary government. Okay, under the unitary system, what is the meaning of unitary system of government? Either there is only one level of government, that is one level, a single level of government. Okay, that is known as unitary system of government, or the subunits are subordinate to the central government. So the central government can pass on orders to the provincial or local government. But in a federal system, what is happening here? The central government cannot order the state government to do something. So the state government has powers on its own. In a federal system of government, the central government cannot order the state government, okay, so to do anything. So the state government has its own power here in this federal form of government. The state government has its own power of jurisdiction, for which it is not answerable to the central government. That means it is not under the dominance of central government in the federal system of government. So both these government are separately answerable to the people. So this is clear, children. Now let's come to the key features of federalism, which is very important, children. You must have to go through it. Okay, the key features of federalism are very important. Okay, So these are some of the key features of federalism. So we'll discuss one by one all the key features of federalism. Okay, let's come to the first one. What is the first key feature of federalism? First is there are two or more levels of government. Okay, that means more than two. Either it will be two or more. Okay, not less than two. So there are two or more levels of government in a federal system of government. Okay, next is different tiers of government govern the same citizens, but each tier has its own jurisdiction in specific matters of legislation, taxation and administration. Okay, so in this first feature we have seen that we have more than two forms of government in our country, right? That is, first one is central government, next is state government, right? And third is the local government. Okay, so there are two or more than two levels of government in a federal form of government. Okay, in a federal system. Next we have different tiers or levels of government govern the same citizen, but each tier has its own jurisdiction. Now, what is the meaning of jurisdiction here? Jurisdiction means the official power to make legal decision and also judgment. Okay, so it means that here the central government has its own power of jurisdiction. Okay, that means to govern the people, whereas state has its own jurisdiction to govern the people. So both the government have their own areas of power where they can make any legal decisions. Okay, so their jurisdiction means their area of power. They can govern where they have power. Okay, and it is clearly specified in the constitution or mentioned in the Indian constitution that different tiers or levels of government, they have their own jurisdiction, means area of power. Okay, so this is clear, children. This is the second key feature of federalism. Now coming to number 3. What is number 3? That is, the jurisdiction of the respective levels or tiers of government are specified in the constitution. Okay, different the respective, that means the jurisdiction of, means the area of power of the respective levels or tiers of government, means the levels of government are clearly specified in the constitution, means it's clearly mentioned in the Indian constitution. So the existence and authority of each tier of government is constitutionally guaranteed. Okay, so as we have got this the second feature, same like different tiers means levels of government, they have their own area of power. Okay, where they can make any take any decision regarding legislation, lawmaking, taxation and administration or rule. Okay, so in the third feature also we are getting the same. That means the jurisdiction means the area of power where these levels of government, they can make any decision. Okay, and this existence and authority means the power of each level of government, it is constitutionally guaranteed. Okay, the Indian constitution is giving guarantee. So all these features means authority or power of this levels, different levels of government or tiers of government are clearly specified in the constitution. Okay, it is clearly mentioned in the Indian constitution and it is constitutionally guaranteed. Clear? Okay, now coming to the fourth feature. Okay, what is the fourth feature of federalism? That is, the fundamental provisions of the constitution cannot be unilaterally changed by one level of government. Okay, that means single level of government. Such changes require the consent of both. Okay, both the levels of government. That means here that a single level of government, okay, cannot change the provisions of our constitution. Okay, a single level of government like central government or state government, it cannot change the provisions of the constitution. Okay, and if it is required, such changes, if such changes are there, means it is required, then it is mandatory or compulsory that the consent of both the levels of government should be taken. Okay, like for example, constitution gives the power to the state government to make law. Okay, like for example on education or on agriculture, like that. So education related law it can make, and central government has also the power to make law on like defense matter, foreign affairs, banking, etc. But no such power is given to the central or state government to change the fundamental provisions of the constitution, which are norms, valuable norms. Okay, so unilaterally means alone. Okay, alone or a single level of government cannot change the provisions of the constitution. And if any changes were to be done by the government, okay, then there must be a consent of both the levels of government. So no one could rule over each other. Okay, so this is our fourth feature of federalism. Now coming to the fifth feature, what is it? Let's see. Okay, courts. So this is very easy. Courts have the power to interpret the constitution, okay, and the powers of different level of government. Okay, it has the power to interpret the constitution and also the powers of different level of government. That means it acts as an umpire. Okay, just like umpire we have no in cricket. Okay, so it acts as an umpire, just like a mediator. Okay, if any dispute arises between the different levels of government in the exercise of the respective power. Okay, so here the court have the power to interpret. Interpret means, children, explain the true meaning. Okay, what has been written in the Indian Constitution, what are the provisions we have in our Indian Constitution, and the powers of different level of the government. Okay, so it is going to explain the meaning of it. Okay, and it also acts as a mediator, or we can say as an umpire, because if any such dispute arises between the central and state government, the court have the power to solve or settle the dispute. Okay, so this is clear, the fifth feature of federalism. Next we are coming to sixth feature of federalism. What is it? That is, sources of revenue for each level of government are clearly specified to ensure its financial autonomy. Okay, sources of revenue. What is the meaning of it? It means that sources of revenue. Okay, sources of revenue means taxes. Okay, from where the government, each level of government will collect the taxes. Okay, so where is the source from where this government is going to collect the taxes? Okay, so source is clearly mentioned in the Indian Constitution, from where it is going to collect the taxes. Okay, why? To ensure its financial autonomy, to make the each level of government financially strong. Okay, so that they will become self-independent in terms of economy, and so that the other also constituent units of the government should not face any financial problem. So for these reason, it is specified in the Indian Constitution, okay, that what are the sources of revenue for all the levels of government, that is both the central and the state government. Clear? So this is number 6. Now coming to number 7. Okay, what is number 7? Seventh key feature of federalism. Let's see. That is, the federal system thus has dual objective. Dual means two. Okay, two objectives. What are those? To safeguard and promote unity of the country, while at the same time accommodate regional diversity. Okay, so here we'll see that an ideal federal system. Okay, an ideal federal system has two aspects. First is mutual trust. Okay, that means to safeguard and promote the unity of the country. Okay, like for example, when we share power, our country remains united, means together, and every state they feel that we also have some power and we are also a part of a country. or union. So in this way, unity of a country is promoted. Clear? Next, number 2. What is number 2? To accommodate regional diversity. That means it has two aspects. One is mutual trust, other is agreement to live together. Okay, agreement to live together means accommodate regional diversity. Okay, like at the same time, accommodate regional diversity. It means, for example, let us take an example, like in our country we find regional diversity, isn't it? Different, different caste, culture, tradition, and different people are residing here. Okay, they are belonging to different caste, religion, and they all have different living style, standard of living, means all are quite different to each other. They are not similar, but in spite of this diversity, we all are equal, means we all are living together in peace. Okay, that means like for example, like in Bengal, we can take example. In Bengal, different culture and traditions are there. In Bihar, Punjab, we find different culture, tradition, but all the states, they are joined together and all are under one country, that is India, right? So all the states are united together because powers are given to all the states. In spite of this diversity, all are united together. Okay, so we can say that an ideal federal system, there must be a mutual trust and agreement to live together. I hope all the 7 features are clear to you, children, and these are very important. Must learn and go through it. Okay, now coming to another topic, that is coming together federation and holding together federation. What are these? Let's see. Okay, now the first one, coming together, and second one is holding together federation. Okay, so here there are 2 roots or types of federalism. Okay, there are 2 roots or type of federalism. One is coming together federation and the second one is holding together federation. Okay, now what is coming together? That is when different independent states or different political units, they come together to form a bigger unit. Okay, that is sovereignty. Okay, then this form of federation or country is called coming together federation. Okay, like example, USA. Okay, USA, Australia, Switzerland. Okay, these all are the example of coming together federation. Okay, next is holding together federation. In holding together federation, a large country is dividing its power between the constituent states and the national government or central government. Okay, but here the central government is more powerful, and the central government has given its powers to the states to hold or make a union. So it is called holding together federation. Example, you can see example India and Belgium, Spain. Okay, these are the examples of holding together federation. Okay, so just go through it, what is meant by coming together and holding together federation, and what are the examples. Okay, now let's come to another topic, that is what makes India a federal country. So children, as we know that India, a country, it emerged as an independent nation after a painful and bloody partition. As before independence, India was under the control of Britishers. Soon after independence, several princely states, means those states which are not annexed by British and but under the indirect rule. Okay, so they became a part of a country. Okay, now the constitution, it declared India as a union of states, although it did not use the word federation. Okay, now the Indian Union is based on the principles of federalism, and it has the division of powers. Okay, now you know that all the 7 features of our federalism, it is applied to the provision of Indian constitution. Okay, now the constitution means our Indian constitution, originally it provided for a 2-tier system of government. Okay, 2-tier means 2 levels of government, means originally the Indian constitution, it has provided, okay, originally it has a 2-tier system of government, that is union government or central government and state government. Okay, these were the 2 forms of government which our Indian constitution originally provided. But later on, okay, later on, a 3rd tier of federalism was added in the form of panchayat and municipalities. Okay, that is the 3rd level of government or local government, we can say. Okay, for example, panchayat, municipalities. As we know, in cities and towns we have corporation, municipal corporation, municipalities, whereas in rural areas like villages we have panchayat. Okay, so this is the 3rd level of government which has been added later on. So the constitution clearly provided a 3-fold distribution of legislative power between the central, means union government, and the state government. Thus it contains 3 lists. Okay, now let's see what are the 3 lists. First is the union list. Okay, next is the state list. First of all, see what is meant by the union list. Okay, union list, it includes the subject of national importance such as like defense, okay, army, and foreign affairs, banking, communication, and currency. And in this list, you know, the union government or the central government alone can make law. Okay, nobody else, means state government is not going to make any law in this list. Okay, so what are the subject in the union list? The subjects are foreign affairs, okay, like defense, banking, communication, currency. Okay, these are the subject on which union government or central government can make law. And here only the union government or central government has the power to make the law. So this is the union list. Next we have state list. Okay, state list, you can see it contains a subject of state and local importance such as police, trade, commerce, agriculture, and irrigation. Okay, and here only the state government has the power, only the state government has the power to make the law. Okay, so in the union list we have the central or union government who can make law, whereas in the state list only the state government is going to make the law, and the subject of state list are police, trade, commerce, agriculture, irrigation, etc. Okay, apart from this we also have another list that is known as concurrent list. Okay, where we have the subject, the common subjects like your forest, trade union, marriage, okay, adoption, succession, etc. Okay, so concurrent list includes the subject of common interest, means the subject which are important and common to both the central and state government. So those subjects are included in the concurrent list. So here both the state and central government will make the law. Okay, example like education we have. Okay, in education you will see that only both the central and state government can make the law. Okay. And here means these subjects are common to both the central and the state. Okay, so this comes under the concurrent list. Now another subject is there, okay, which is known as residuary subjects. Okay, residuary subject, what are those? Residuary subject means the subjects which do not fall in any list and it came up after the constitution was made. Okay, so these subjects came after the constitution was made, and this subject do not fall in any of this category of this three list. That means neither in the union list, nor in the state list, nor in the concurrent list. So these are known as residuary subject. Now what is the example? Example, you can see here, software, computer software, that is IT sector. Okay, information technology, this comes under the residuary subject, and here only the central or union government has the power to make the law. Okay, not the state government. So is this all the whatever topics today we have discussed? Okay, I hope this is clear to all of you. But if you do have any doubts or queries, students, please do ask. Okay, so today we have discussed what is meant by federalism. Okay, what is the definition of federalism, and we have also gone through the key features of federalism. All the 7 key features we have discussed one by one. Next, we have 2 roots of federalism, like coming together and holding together federation. Next, we have discussed what makes India a federal country, where we have discussed about the 3 lists, that is union list, state list, and concurrent list. And one more subject we have discussed, that is residuary subject. Okay, so I hope this is clear to all of you. So thank you for watching the video. Thank you everyone.